There's this strange phenomenon in Silicon Valley where many of the people who've been successful entrepreneurs seem to be suffering from a mild form of Asperger's.
My name is Jens Bergensten, but you may know me better as Jeb. I'm the creative designer of Minecraft.
Earlier this year, I started building a simple AI to help run our home.
Fine. I don't know. I'll try it.
Have you ever experimented with meditation or anything?
Yes.
What do you do? Or what have you done, rather?
And we just sort of sit there and be quiet and then repeat some mantra, which acts as a focal point. It does still the mind. But I don't find myself drawn to it frequently.
You say, somebody would ask, the computer was fun to play because people would ask you questions and they say computer and you'd say working.
I've always wondered how those in Silicon Valley come up with such complex and revolutionary ideas. What makes them such visionaries? Well, I did some research, and Asperger's is, not might be, not can, is a major advantage to those in tech. You may be asking yourself how, which is fair, and I'm going to answer that for you. First, you need to know a few things about Asperger's and why it's so prevalent in Silicon Valley. The San Francisco Bay Area, which is home of Silicon Valley, their rate of autism and Asperger's has risen drastically since the dot-com boom. Now, why could this be? This is because it is a genetic disorder. And with those who have Asperger's coming into Silicon Valley, they become wealthy, therefore making them better mates, and they reproduce. Being a genetic disorder, they pass it down to their children. Now, one of the biggest telltale signs of someone having Asperger's is their social interactions. For example, prolonged eye contact or avoiding eye contact entirely. They have an inability to read body language of people. So if you're talking about something boring for a prolonged period of time and the person you're talking to has their arms crossed and looks distracted, somebody with Asperger's may not be aware that they are not interested in the conversation. Also, an inability to understand the feelings of other people. Another one would be their body language can appear to be quite robotic. Look at Mark Zuckerberg in the Senate hearings. People with Asperger's tend to be aware of what someone in that situation would do, and they try to be like that person. Another sign would be they have a very strict and specific area of focus. They obtain as much information and detail, just volumes upon volumes of detail, into one or two specific topics. Signs like this can usually be present around the age of 5 or 6. Additionally, they'll have repetitive behaviors. Along with that, they have a very intense focus. They can stay submersed in one task for hours upon hours upon hours. And that's why they are quite fine being alone and being by themselves. Those with Asperger's actually tend to be average to above average intelligence. They'll have trouble speaking. By the age of 3 or 4, they'll start to talk. A great example of this is actually Elon Musk, as his parents thought that he was deaf growing up because he wouldn't speak until the age of 3. And even after that, people would be talking to him and he wouldn't pay any attention because he would be lost in this train of thought. Also, he would read encyclopedias as a child. It is factual that many people with Asperger's have made some of the biggest contributions to society, and it may actually shock you. For example, Einstein is even thought to have had Asperger's. Didn't speak until the age of 3, and he was very socially awkward. However, came up with the theory of relativity. Another one, Isaac Newton was thought to have had Asperger's.
Then he had this enormous capacity to hyperfocus, enormous capacity to ask fundamental questions, and the ability to do experiments and to persist with a question until he came up with an answer. I'm 100% sure that Isaac Newton had Asperger's syndrome. The key to the condition is poor social relationships. Poor empathy, they have a piercing gaze, problems reading faces, reading body language, and they're rather repetitive in their behavior.
Now, why do they make such good entrepreneurs and such good visionaries? Well, what makes a good entrepreneur? It would be they are very focused and driven. They are creative. They're intelligent. They are great organizers, and they are obsessive about what they do. Now, signs and symptoms of Asperger's are exactly those. Those are exactly the signs of Asperger's. People with Asperger's are focused, they're intelligent, they're obsessed, and they think differently. And a major reason they are so successful in coming up with groundbreaking ideas and in Silicon Valley is because they are not afraid of social pressure and social norms and analogies, and you must do it this way. For example, if they have an idea, they don't hesitate to do it because they don't understand those social norms. They don't understand why they shouldn't do it. They just do it. And it's a silver lining to them not being able to interact socially well, is that they don't have those voices inside of their head telling them, no, don't do it like this, you're gonna look stupid. They don't care, they do it. Now, what draws them into places like Silicon Valley? Well, they have a great knack for catching detail. They have an eye for detail. They love organizations. They love patterns. They love structure. Now, this describes coding and programming. This describes it, and hence this is exactly why they are so talented at it. And as a matter of fact, here are some of the top jobs for people with Asperger's. Computer science, engineering, programming, all of these have to do with thinking creatively or having an eye for detail and finding patterns. Some of the best jobs for people with Asperger's are tech or creativity. Some even wonder if this could be a new stage of human evolution. And these advantages that people with Asperger's have in this industry has even led Microsoft to having an autism hiring program. Why? Because for highly complex problems that require an eye for detail, they help. And they do well. They can provide valuable new perspectives that people wouldn't think of to complex problem solving. And Microsoft isn't the only one. JP Morgan, IBM also have a program like this, just to name a few. I'll link into the description a website that's very helpful to people with Asperger's or autism, where to go to help find jobs or resources or even classes in coding. People with Asperger's are becoming more desirable to the job market because of these exact skills. And they're becoming more desirable in some of the most prominent and powerful and desirable job markets right now today. That should speak numbers. They are some of the wealthiest people. It's just surprising. It's something that is so overlooked, and I just wanted to bring attention to it. But that's all for now. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and have a good night.